I can't believe it happened. Well, this happened. Wall Street won. You know, their wish came true. We're going full effect into corporacy. It's always been this way, corporacy. Okay, it's just that now our politicians have always taken it to a certain extent. It's trying to make it unnoticeable. Well, let's go over what corporacy is. Corporacy can refer to either corporate bureaucracy or society where corporations hold significant economic and political power. It can be used to describe WordPress theme design for corporate websites. Here's a more detailed breakdown. Corporate bureaucracy. The definition refers to a situation where large corporation structures and management become inefficient and ineffective. It can be characterized by excessive layers of management, slow decision-making process, and focus on internal procedures rather than external resorts. Corporatocracy or corporacy, this is a system where corporations and their interests dominate economic and political decision-making. It suggests that corporations have a disproportionate influence on government policies, laws, and regulations, potentially to their own benefit and expense of the public good. This is often used critically, implying a system where corporations exploit resources and people for profit. Corporacy, catch themes. This theme illustrates like responsive design, feature sliders. Okay, so you should look it up. There's a lot to say about corporacy. Okay, but let's go here and tell you where they tried it before. Okay, this is just a bit of history, talking about the law. Smedley Butler in a 1930s plot to overthrow the president. 1934, colossal claim reached the American news media. There had been a plot to overthrow President Franklin D. Roosevelt in favor of a fascist government, supposedly in the works since 1933. The claims of conspiracy came from a very conspicuous and reliable source, Major General Smedley Butler, one of the most decorated war heroes of his time. Even more unbelievable were his claims that who was involved in the plot. Respected names like Robert Sterling Clark, Grayson M.P. Murphy, and Prescott Bush. And I'm pretty sure you know Prescott Bush is the grandfather of George W. Okay, grandfather, great-grandfather. Recently discovered archives that revealed that the truth behind Major General Butler's claims. Who was Smedley Butler? Born in 1881, sorry. Major General Smedley Butler was the son of an eldest Quaker family from Westchester, Pennsylvania. Butler came from a line of civil servicemen. His father, Thomas Butler, was a representative of the state of Pennsylvania in Congress. And his maternal grandfather, Smedley Darlington, was also a Republican congressman. Butler served in several major war conflicts, including the Spanish-American War, the Philippine War, the Boxer Rebellion, and World War I. During his time in service, Butler became known for his bravery and relentless leadership in battle, and he was rewarded with several distinctions, including medals of honor, Army Distinguished Service Medal, and Marine Corps Beret Medal, and Navy Distinguished Service Medal. The business plot. After leaving service, Butler held many roles, but became best known for his activism. Butler's various accolades made him a household name following World War I. He was well known among veteran circles as a champion for veterans' rights. This including supporting the so-called bonus army A large group of veterans and veteran supporters lobbied Congress for payments on bonds issued to veterans prior to the war. The positive public interest and demonstrated ability to rally people under his leadership were perhaps the reason why Butler was approached by General C. McGuire and Bob Doyle in 1933. McGuire, a bond salesman, and Doyle were members of the American Legion, an organization meant to support veterans' rights and opportunities. During their first meeting with Butler, McGuire and Doyle asked Major General to speak at a Legion convention in Chicago, claiming they wanted to point out various problems with the Legion's leadership. Butler was at first open to this idea, knowing the Legion had several administrative issues that ultimately compromised veterans' benefits. However, up subsequent meetings with the two men, Butler quickly began to suspect that something was amiss. During his second meeting, McGuire showed bank statements amounting over to $100,000 U.S. value of nearly $2 million today, which he hoped Butler would use to bring veteran supporters was stunned there was very little, $2 million. He would bring veteran supporters to the convention. The Major General was stunned there was very little chance that a group of veterans has been able to gather such a vast amount of funds. Even worse was the speech that McGuire asked Butler to deliver, a speech that was a little to do with veteran affairs and instead more critical of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt's recent move away from the gold standard. The abandonment of the gold standard was a major sticking point for many high-ranking officials and bankers in the country during 1933. Although there were several recognized issues of money backed by the gold, such as dependency on gold production and short-term price instabilities, many bankers were fearful that their gold-backed loans would not be paid back in full by President's new policies. Departure from the gold standard just added other concerns about FDR's policies, particularly his plan to provide subsidizations and jobs for the poor, which businessmen and conservative politicians alike took as an indication of Roosevelt's socialist leanings, or even worse, a communist. Butler could sense this disgruntlement when he asked to meet with McGuire's superiors and found himself speaking with Robert Sterling Clark, heir to singer-sewing fortune. Clark was much more upfront than McGuire, telling Butler that his real interest was preserving the gold standard, even claiming that he had $30 million and was willing to spend half of that $30 million to save the other half. Butler, true to his patriotic form, flatly refused the offer to deliver a speech at the convention in Chicago. After parting ways with the McGuire Clark, he heard little from the men until McGuire began traveling through Europe, and a trip funded by Clark, McGuire began sending postcards to Butler and various European nations, including Italy, Germany, and France. And they did make it happen in Italy and Germany. First Italy with Mussolini, and then Hitler followed suit. Okay. Then you'll understand the Corporacy. Okay, upon returning to the United States, McGuire called another meeting with Butler, and when he used much more transparent about his plans, admitting the money he had gathered came mostly from captains of industry, McGuire told Butler that he had traveled Europe to see how veterans operated within foreign governments, often discounting the governments of Germany and Italy, described as a facet of French government which was run quite well by veterans. These various observations led McGuire to believe the only way to save the country from FDR's ill-fated policies was to create a military state run by former servicemen, with Roosevelt serving as a figurehead rather than a true leader. But Butler asked what McGuire wanted from him and was told he would rather be the ideal leader of these veterans, promising him an army of 500,000 men and financial backing from an assortment of rich businessmen, so as long as he'd be willing to lead a peaceful march on the White House to displace Roosevelt. The Cormack-Dixon Committee investigation. Astonished by McGuire's plan, Butler knew he would need someone to corroborate his story if he was going to stop the intended coup. Having previously worked with the police captain of Philadelphia, Butler reached out to Philadelphia record Writer Paul Comley French, who agreed to meet with McGuire as well. During this meeting, McGuire told French that he believed a fascist state was only an answer for America, and that Smedley was an ideal leader because he could recognize 1 million men. He could organize 1 million overnight. Armed with French's mutual testimony, Butler appeared before McCormick Dickerson Congressional Committee, also known as the Special Committee of Un-American Activities, to reveal what he knew about the plot to seize the presidency in November of 1934. The committee also first discounted a large part of Butler's testimony, even in writing their initial report, when they saw no reason to subpoena men like John W. Davis, a former presidential hopeful, and Thomas W. Lamont, a partner with J.P. Morgan and Company. However, with testimony of French and the erratic testimony of McGuire, the committee began to further investigate the plot. Final reports of the committee saying a different too, finding that all of Butler's claims could be corroborated as factual. However, they did stress that the plot was far from being enacted, and it was clear if plans would have ever truly come to fruition. Quickly becoming known as the White House coup and the Wall Street Putsch, many major news sources have cited Butler's claims, and committee final report was not made available publicly. This said those implicated, ranging from the DuPont family to Prescott Bush, the grandfather of future President George W. Bush, laughed off Butler's claims. Evidence of the validity of Butler's testimony was not released until the 21st century, when the committee's papers were published in public domain. No one was ever prosecuted in connection to the plot. Butler, for his part, went on to continue advocating for veterans. He also became a staunch opponent to capitalism, which he felt fed wars. His views was published in well-known short book War is a Racket, which was published in 1935. There is no telling how far the plot to overthrow a president may have gone without Butler's intervention. But one thing is certain: its failure was the work of one patriotic major general and his lifelong love of democracy. Yeah. George Milley, back in his day. But they finally did it. They finally did it. They won. They got their corporacy, full-blown corporacy. Took them a lot of years to get us there, right? But they did, slowly but surely, inch by inch. And, you know, if you match this up with my video, Deprivation of Rights, Conspiracy to Deprivation of Rights Under the Color of Law, which is one of my recent videos, and another one I did, a Conspiracy to Deprive Rights Under the Color of Law. I even show you where to file and who's supposed to, take care of all this. All right, but you know what? When I was a kid, I watched a lot of PBS, World at War, Democracy Now, War and Peace Report. I was a little kid, but I became interested in politics and why things happen. That's why I studied so much about different things. And FDR was elected 3-4 times. I think he died in his fourth presidency term. And later, after he died, Congress decided, no, that's too many terms. But because of all of his policies, Social Security, unemployment, unions, he was a union man. So he was doing everything in the public interest. What he created became what was known to be installed into the public trust. If you read the public trust doctrine, you understand, which became, the public trust is like a trust fund for the public, the general public, we the people, the public. So that's what the public trust doctrine is. And everything in there, they're supposed to take care of and watch. It's like your trust fund. And you'll find they're supposed to keep the water clean, air. I mean, there wouldn't be pollution like there is today if people abided by the public trust doctrine. But that's not happening. But wow. Smedley Butler in the 1930s plot to overthrow the president. Couldn't get General Miley to do it, or Milley. To me, it's not a matter of policy. Party, it's a matter of policy. I said it once, I'll say it again. This is not about who you voted for, whether it's the red or the blue. It's what you took allegiance to when you pledged allegiance to the red, white, and blue. It's about the Declaration of Independence. It's about the United States Constitution and who it was written to serve and protect. Who it's dedicated to, we the people. I may not be a public servant, but when I took a pledge of allegiance, I pledge allegiance to the people, not a politician, not a political party, and definitely not Wall Street. You may have your way for now. One day, the people are going to come together. And hold you. And I quote Martin Luther King. All we ask is that you told you to what you put on paper. United States Constitution. That's the law. And you're not doing it. In a nation where it's said that everyone is created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, among these are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Why isn't that happening? Again, quoting Martin Luther King, all we ask, America, is to be true to what you put on paper. Be true to what you put on paper. Now, beloved, may there always be peace and happiness in your future. May your Creator always rain blessings. Nothing but love. I wish nothing but for you, but a long life and good health. Somebody asked me why I always say that. If you look into the public trust doctrine, the medical care system was in there, but somebody decided to pillage the public trust doctrine and sold it off, and now you need medical insurance, and losing your house because of your bills. If we work together, we can put it back where it belongs, in the public trust. Remember, the IRS and IRS tax dollars, that's part of the public trust. DOJ, FBI, all the courts, everybody that works with them, within them, part of the public trust. You can stop those people. I'm showing you in all my videos a lot of different ways to do things. And the first thing is to hold them to the oath they took. Any violations, mandatory fines, removal from public service, and incarceration. Nothing but peace and love to you people. As long as there's something to talk about, I'll keep talking about it. You go ahead and keep asking your questions. I have answers. No question is a stupid question. The only stupid question is the ones you don't ask. That's what legal reform is all about. Answering your questions and giving you the answer. Not below.